Okay, so Sarah, you had got to try out a game I'm really looking forward to. But I don't know when it's coming out. Has it been delayed again? I'm not sure,
It's
but
like November, I think,
it's
end of
November this
November.
year. Okay, cool. So
Yeah.
you got beta access to Warhammer Darktide, which looks the shit. It looks so
Mm-hmm.
good. Not shit, the shit. Just
The shit.
the
Yeah.
shit. It looks amazing. And it just looks like, well, carnage. And please tell us all about it. Did you
I
get past the character
will.
creator screen? That's the real question. You spent the
Oh,
whole beta time just doing
you
that.
know me. I love me some character creation. So if I can make something look vaguely like me or like a version of me that I have in my head that I would put into this world, I'm like, yeah, sick. Give them white hair and then I can pretend it's me. Um, so yeah, that was really cool. Straight off the bat, you have your character creation. You choose one of 4 classes, and I went with the zealot. Um, and you can, I mean, it's very similar to other character creations. You can choose, different skin tone. You can choose scarring and tattoos and hairstyles and hair colors. It's probably not as thorough as some other games that really put character creation as like a really important factor. But maybe they'll build on it in the actual game itself. That being said, I think probably at this stage, maybe not before the actual launch of the game. Um, but it was awesome. I got to choose a very specific voice for my zealot, which was ridiculously pompous and over the top. And I was like, perfect. That's for me. That's not me. That's what I wanted to put forward for this character. And then you sort of end up in this massive hub area, which looks awesome. And I think probably what's going to be built into that is because it's a social hub that's not just for your characters, like your team that you're playing with. So it's a bigger hub. There are other characters in it. Maybe sort of akin to like Fortnite before you start playing in an actual game. You can actually walk around. You can show people the cool gear that you have, which I think is probably one of the primary focuses of it, is to be able to show off how far into the game you've played and what stuff you've unlocked, so you can sort of walk around like a badass in the social area and be like, you wish you were as cool as me. And give people the incentive to be doing the same and to push and keep playing the game and get better. So I didn't play it as soon as the beta opened, but my other half did, and he was like in a queue of like 20,000. Took about an hour to actually get through, but I think it was a case of authorizing the beta before actually getting into the game. Yeah, it's really cool. It's so sick. It's very cool. I've not played Vermintide, but I heard that Vermintide is more up close, bashy, whereas this is a
Yep.
nice combination of both. And actually, you need to be able to do both because you kind of have these like hordes of creatures that come at you, which you can just pepper with your gun from a distance. And then as soon as they get close, switch to your up close, your melee weapon, and then just bash some of these horrible looking monsters. And the sort of just the first quick play level that you can play in the beta was great. And there's also a tutorial section, which is awesome because I actually don't play that many of these style of games, and it literally clicks you through everything in a little arena style thing. And there's a voice actor who's basically. If you're a little bit shit, she'll be like, "Oh, come on, you don't you want to serve the
The Emperor.
Oh, God, I can't remember the emperor. Yeah, exactly. And you're sort of sat there going, I'm sorry, I'm just not connecting with this. I'm sorry, not yet. Give me a second. Um, but it's very cool. It's really cool. And I've been watching the trailers as they've been coming out for this game, and I'm like, I'm super excited for this. I don't play this style of game, generally speaking,
Mhm.
but I'm so down for this. And I think actually the one thing that I think I'm looking forward to is actually being able to play with people that I know.
Yeah.
Because playing with strangers was a bit like, no, the first one I played, I was paired with some people who just did not care about the team. And I was like, that's not how these games work.
Yeah.
Like, I've not played enough of them, but that's definitely not how you play these games. I was, getting absolutely obliterated and they would run off somewhere else. I'm like, no, we have to stay as a team. Even the VO is saying that. Come back. But then I played with another team and they were great. And I think being on cans with people and chatting with your friends and like screaming down the microphone to be like, help me, I'm down, or they're all over me. And yeah, that sort of stuff. I'm so excited to be doing that.
I think it's going to be awesome, especially
It's
if
gonna be so
it's
good.
like I said, with your friends. I really hope it's going to be crossplay. I don't know if it is or not, but I
Mm.
really hope it does, because that way it's just going to open up the avenue for so many like people to get together. That player base is just going to be absolutely massive rather than
Oh, yeah.
be segmented on different platforms. And that developer, I forgot that they were behind Vermintide, and they did such a good job with Vermintide 1 and 2, and then they're just kind of taking those learnings and all of that experience into Darktide now. And again, game just looks awesome, and
Mhm.
I'm looking forward to it as well. And it seems like Warhammer games are not anything really new. They've been pumping out game after game after game, like for what feels like decades. But it's always felt like they're either strategy games or not always the best games. There's like a definite issue with, I think, quality control of whether or not the games are actually any good, considering the sheer volume of them. And it seems like Darktide and Vermintide are maintaining a really high bar for the actual quality, but also the understanding of the insanely deep lore in the Warhammer series. And the one I'm actually most looking forward to is that finally we're getting a sequel to Space Marine and Space Marine 2, which was so like the first Space Marine on the Xbox 360 was just so fantastic. Like the Geordie sounding orcs, which were like hilarious, like Spice
Yeah.
Marine, all this kind of stuff. It was hilarious, and it was only a single player game. And I always thought, man, this would just be amazing if it was like Gears of War style, like 4 player co op. You're all these like Space Hulk, Deathwing type of Space Marines, and you get the customization and everything. And I'm hoping that the Space Marine 2 is gonna bring that. But that looks phenomenal. Darktide is looking phenomenal. It's like, okay, here we go, like the big triple A, high quality production, high bar setting games for Warhammer. And I always felt like Warhammer, it should be just as big as Star Wars in every other medium. It's got like hundreds of a ridiculously high volume of books, and it's
Mm.
got just as rich, if not even richer, lore. Jamie knows more
Yeah.
about Warhammer than I. We'll get your thoughts in a minute. And it's got the board games. It's got like everything else of Warhammer is gargantuan as a franchise, but not so much in like the movie space and the animation space and the gaming space. And it should be. There's no reason why it shouldn't be. Maybe it's too complicated. I don't know. But it seems like with Darktide, okay, here we go, and then Space Marines coming out. Maybe that will open the door for an influx of really high quality games coming out. Anyway, Jamie, Warhammer, go.
It's ridiculously rich lore. I mean, I used to. I had a whole pile of friends who were into Warhammer when I was at school, and I was just fascinated by the lore behind it. Al's huge on it as well. Do you know the even weird things like? Do you know Event Horizon is a Warhammer movie? Um,
I heard
in
that. Yeah.
everything but name. The guy pitched a Warhammer movie and got told that it's too geeky. So took out all the Warhammer references and went, "What do you think of this?" Then they were like, "Oh, that's brilliant dark sci-fi." It's like, yeah, it's still based on the lore of Warhammer. We just don't call it that. So it's an incredibly rich lore, and of course Warhammer and Warhammer 40,000. There's so much there, but like Ross said, the games have never touched the Dark Omen. I remember, like Dark Omen, I enjoyed. That was good fun. That was a good strategy game. I remember Space Hulk on PC. Like, that was good fun. I would, but they were never brilliant. They're not the games that the whole world remembers. It's not. So fingers crossed, because Dark Tide looks amazing, and Space Marine 2 does look. Oh, I'm hyped for that. That's looking really interesting. Um, and the fact that it's co-op and all that. Like I said, I really hope it's cross-play because I want to try and get people together to play that one because I'm planning to pick them both up. But yeah, there's just so much. There is so much lore there, and it doesn't make sense to me that they've not managed to tap into that yet and really like drive it home. But then there's kind of, I suppose, there's kind of previous for that. I mean, you look at the Lord of the Rings games. It took them years to come out with games that really got in there. And as much as there were some amazing Star Wars games, there's some less good stuff in there as well. That's
Yep.
not, there's a so I don't know. I don't get how Warhammer's taken so long to really sort of drive it home. And there's probably someone sat out there who's like, well, Space Hulk's my favourite game of all time, and you're a prick. They're like, all right, well, sorry, but critically speaking, they've never really hit the nail on the head with the Warhammer games, even though there've been good bits and pieces in there. So if they can really touch on that lore and use even down to characters, there's so many great, like what's it, the orcs. There's so many great like goblins, the Eldar. I mean, when you're talking 40,000, the Eldar are just visually so cool and so ready to be put into a video game that it just makes sense. And the Space Marines themselves are fucking phenomenal design. Like everyone wants to play as one of those, surely. So yeah, fingers crossed. The Darktide, it looks fantastic and it sounds really good from what Sarah's saying. So I'm very excited to get my hands on it.
Yeah, hugely excited for it, and I hope we can all kind of jump in together. If it's crossplay, we're gonna get our characters together and try and make them looking as badass as us as possible, and slay some enemies. I think it's gonna be awesome. Anyway, so watch out for that.
Yeah.
Coming soon, I think, in November. You said, Sarah, is that when it's coming?
Yeah,
out?
I think so. The
Wow.
30th of November, I think.
So soon, so crazy soon. So